We are about to embark on a journey that will change the way you learn, forever. This course, Learn Anything 10x Faster, no matter your age or IQ, is not just about studying harder, but about learning smarter. Whether you're a student, a teacher, or just a curious mind, you're about to unlock your brain's full potential. Course Introduction. Imagine this. You've got a brilliant brain, but no one gave you the user manual. So you press random buttons. Sometimes it works. Most times, it doesn't. You forget things. You struggle to focus. You start a book and leave it halfway. You watch a video, feel motivated, but a week later, it's all gone. Sound familiar? Now let me ask you a question. What if the problem is not you? What if the problem is that no one ever taught you how to learn? School teaches us what to learn: history, dates, math formulas, grammar rules. But they rarely teach us how to learn, how to remember, how to focus, how to study smart, how to stop forgetting, how to build new habits, how to master anything, anytime. This course changes that. This is the course you should have had before every other course. Your brain is not a cup. It's a muscle. Most people treat their brain like a cup: fill it up, pour it out during exams, repeat. But that's not how the brain works. Your brain is a living, growing, flexible muscle. If you train it right, it gets stronger. If you use it wrong, it gets tired and lazy. In this course, you'll learn how to train your brain to work for you, not against you. What if you could remember forever? Imagine watching a lecture once, and remembering it even after 6 months. Imagine reading a book once, and being able to explain it clearly to others. Imagine learning Arabic, or coding, or any new skill, and not giving up after a week. That's what's possible when you learn how to learn. We've made it simple, fun, and powerful. This course is not full of boring theories or long definitions. We've designed it like storytelling, with examples, emotions, stories, jokes, and practical advice. Every module feels like a conversation, not a lecture. You'll laugh. You'll relate. You'll think. And most importantly, you'll change. Who is this course for? It's for students who want better marks. It's for teachers who want smarter methods. It's for workers who feel stuck and want to grow. It's for parents who want to teach their children better. It's for seekers who want to unlock their full potential. It's for you, if you're tired of forgetting and ready to master your mind. By the end of this course, you won't just learn better. You'll live better. Because learning is not about passing exams. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. So take a deep breath. Open your mind. And let's begin a journey that will change how you see your brain, your memory, your focus, and your entire future. Welcome to Learn Anything 10x Faster, no matter your age or IQ. The last course you'll need before learning anything else. Module 1. Rewire your brain for learning. What is learning? Let's start from the very beginning. What does it really mean to learn something? Learning isn't just remembering facts or passing exams. Real learning is when your brain builds strong, lasting connections. It's when an idea sticks with you, like learning to ride a bike. You don't just read about riding, you practice, fall, try again, and one day it clicks. That's learning. Now, why is that important? Because a lot of students think learning is just reading the textbook once or watching a video. But real learning means understanding deeply, remembering it for a long time, and being able to use it in real life. The 2 modes of thinking. Your brain has 2 main ways of thinking. One is the focus mode. This is when you're concentrating hard, like solving a math problem or reading a new chapter. The second is the diffused mode. This happens when your mind is relaxed, like when you're walking, taking a shower, or lying on your bed. Both modes are important. Think of it like this. Focus mode is like using a flashlight to see something clearly. Diffuse mode is like turning on a room light. You see more space, but less detail. You need both. Some of your best ideas will come when you're not trying too hard. Ever had a great idea in the shower? That's your diffused mode helping you. The problem with cramming. Many students try to study everything in one night before the exam. This is called cramming. It feels productive, but here's the truth: it doesn't help your brain build long-term memory. It's like eating 20 burgers in one meal. You'll feel full, but your body can't really use all that food well. Studies show that spacing your learning over time helps your brain grow stronger connections. It's called spaced learning. Learn a little today, review tomorrow, practice next week. This method is proven to work better. Think of it like watering a plant a little every day, instead of flooding it once a month. Why practice works better than reading? Let me ask you this: if you read 10 books on swimming, will you learn to swim? No. You have to get in the water. The same goes for learning anything. Reading is useful, but practice is powerful. Instead of rereading your notes again and again, test yourself. Close the book. Active recall is a more effective study method than rereading. Students who practice retrieving information perform twice as well on tests as those who only reread the material. The illusion of learning. Sometimes students feel like they understand something just because they've heard it before. But that's a trap. It's called the illusion of competence. Familiarity is not the same as understanding. Imagine hearing a song again and again. You might recognize the tune, but can you sing it from memory? Maybe not. Same goes for learning. Unless you actively use the knowledge, you might not really know it. That's why quizzes, puzzles, and challenges are so helpful. They keep you honest. They expose what you don't know, so you can fix it. The story of the bricklayer and the architect. Let me tell you a short story. Once there were two students. One was like a bricklayer. Every day, he placed a few bricks carefully. He studied a little, reviewed often, and built slowly. The other student was like an architect with no tools. He had great plans but didn't build anything. He read fast, skipped practice, and thought he was learning. After a few weeks, the bricklayer had a strong wall. The architect had nothing solid. Who do you think passed the exam? Exactly. Real learning takes time and care, like building with bricks, not rushing with blueprints. Sleep, nutrition, and attention. Now here's a big secret. Your brain is part of your body. Shocking, right? That means how you treat your body affects how you learn. Sleep is your brain's cleaning time. When you sleep, your brain removes waste and strengthens what you learn during the day. If you skip sleep, your memory gets foggy, and your focus becomes weak. Want to learn better? Get at least 7 to 9 hours of good sleep. Food matters too. Your brain loves a steady supply of energy. Junk food makes you sleepy. Balanced meals, especially with protein and healthy fats, help you stay alert and focused. Drinking water helps too. Your brain is about 75% water. Imagine what happens when you're dehydrated. Attention is the gateway to memory. If you don't pay attention, you can't remember. Sounds simple, but many students forget this. When you're distracted by your phone, noise, or worries, your brain skips the learning process. Multitasking is a myth. You can't focus on two things at once. One study showed that students who tried to study while texting scored 20% lower on tests. That's a huge drop just from a few distractions. So when you study, turn off notifications, close extra tabs, and tell your brain, this is learning time. Even 25 focused minutes can beat hours of half attention. Start small, stay steady. Some students give up because they think they need to study for hours every day. Not true. Start small. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can bring big results, if done consistently. Have you ever tried lifting weights at the gym? If you try to lift a 100-kilo bar on your first day, you'll fail and feel terrible. But if you start small and increase slowly, you'll get stronger. Learning is just like that. Start where you are. Grow step by step. Conclusion: learn smart, not just hard. So, to sum up this module, learning isn't magic. It's a process. It needs understanding, repetition, sleep, focus, and effort. It needs your heart and your brain. And most of all, it needs you to believe that learning is not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being curious, consistent, and courageous. You're not just learning a subject. You're learning how to learn, and that, my friend, is the real superpower. Module 2: The Power of Memory in Learning. Why memory matters in learning. Let's begin with a simple truth. If you can't remember what you've learned, it's almost like you never learned it. Memory is like the storage system of your brain. It helps you keep what you've studied and use it when you need it, whether in an exam, a job, or life. Imagine learning something amazing today, but forgetting it tomorrow. That would be frustrating, right? So in this module, we'll explore how memory works, what helps it, what harms it, and how to use it like a pro. 2 types of memory: working and long-term. Your brain has 2 main memory systems. Let's break it down. First, there's working memory. This is your short-term memory. It holds information for a few seconds or minutes. Like when you try to remember a phone number just long enough to type it. It's fast, but very limited, like a small whiteboard that gets erased quickly. Then comes long-term memory. This is where your deep learning lives. It can store information for days, years, or even a lifetime. The goal of learning is to move knowledge from working memory into long-term memory. That's how you truly know something. Memory is not like a computer. Some people think our memory works like a hard drive. You save a file, and it stays there untouched. But that's not how the brain works. Human memory is alive. Every time you recall something, your brain actually rewrites the memory. So each time you remember a fact, story, or lesson, it gets stronger, or weaker, depending on how well you use it. This is why revision is powerful. It's like feeding the memory again and again until it becomes solid. The secret sauce: repetition with gaps. Here's a gold nugget. The best way to remember something is to repeat it over time, not all at once. This is called spaced repetition. Let's say you meet a new friend named Ali. If you keep repeating, Ali, 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 for 10 minutes today and never say it again, you'll likely forget. But if you say his name today, then tomorrow, then 3 days later, then next week, you'll remember it for years. Spaced repetition uses your brain's natural forgetting curve. When you review just before forgetting, the memory becomes stronger, like working out a muscle at the perfect time. Apps like Anki or even simple flashcards can help you use spaced repetition. But even without tools, just reviewing things regularly over a few days can work wonders. Why we forget. Let's face it, we all forget things. But why? There are several reasons. No attention at the start. If you weren't focused when learning, your brain never stored the information well. No connection to what you already know. New facts are easier to remember when they stick to old facts, like adding a new branch to a tree. If there's no connection, the memory floats away. No practice or use. If you don't revisit the knowledge, your brain marks it as not important and lets it fade. Here's the good news: forgetting is normal. But with the right strategies, you can fight it. Chunking, turning big into small. Ever tried to memorize a long list of random numbers? It's hard. But if you chunk them into groups, it becomes much easier. For example, instead of 1492177661945, you remember 1492, 1776, 1945, each a date from history. Chunking is your brain's way of packaging small ideas into bigger, meaningful units. You can do this with vocabulary, concepts, or even names. When you group things logically, they're easier to recall. For example, if you're learning about animals, you might chunk them as mammals, reptiles, birds, etc. This way, your brain stores a few big chunks instead of 100 small pieces. The power of association. Another memory super trick is association. That means linking new knowledge with something you already know. Let's say you meet a man named Mustafa, and he has a big mustache. Your brain says, Mustafa mustache. Silly? Maybe. But it works. Your brain loves stories, images, and funny links. That's why visual memory is often stronger than plain text memory. Making mental pictures, funny connections, or short stories around the thing you want to remember makes it stick better. Try making your own memory games. It's more fun and much more effective. Emotions and memory. Did you know your strongest memories are often linked with strong feelings? Think about your first day at school, or a time you were really scared or happy. You remember it clearly, right? That's because emotion acts like a glue for memory. So how can we use this for learning? Try to add excitement, surprise, humor, or even personal meaning to what you learn. Turn boring facts into mini stories. Pretend you're a detective, scientist, or explorer. It makes learning more emotional and more memorable. Sleep, the memory factory. Sleep is not just for rest, it's when your brain processes and stores what you've learned. While you sleep, your brain reviews the day's learning and files it into long-term storage. If you don't sleep well, it's like closing the library before the books are shelved. Students who sleep after learning remember more than those who stay awake. So don't think of sleep as wasting time. It's learning time without effort. Funny story, the forgetful farmer. Once there was a farmer who bought a smart new cow. The shopkeeper told him, "This cow gives milk only if you whisper a math problem in her ear." So every morning the farmer whispered, "What's 2 plus 2?" And the cow gave milk. But one day, he forgot the math problem and said, "What's your name?" The cow stared at him. No milk. Lesson? If you forget the right steps, you won't get the results. The brain is like that cow, sweet and smart, but you must feed it the right input to get the right output. Simple tips to improve your memory. Let's end with a list of simple, science-backed memory tips. Review often, not all at once. Use spaced repetition. Test yourself. Don't just reread, recall. Use pictures, stories, jokes, or songs. Sleep well. Seriously. Eat brain-friendly food, like eggs, nuts, and fish. Drink water. Stay hydrated. Study in a quiet place, with full attention. Teach someone else. Teaching forces you to remember better. Conclusion: build a memory you can trust. Memory is not something you're born with, it's something you build. Like muscles, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the better your memory, the easier every subject becomes. You're not trying to memorize everything like a robot. You're trying to build a smart brain that remembers what matters. So be kind to your brain, practice wisely, sleep well, and enjoy the magic of remembering what you once thought you'd forget. Module 3: Kill the forgetting. Remember what you learned forever. The strange case of disappearing knowledge. Now here's the funny thing. It's not because you're weak or lazy. It's not because you're not smart. It's because the brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. That's right. Your brain's default setting is to forget. The strange case of disappearing knowledge. Let's begin with a feeling we all know. You studied something hard. You spent hours on it. You thought, "Yes, I've got it." Then a few days later, it's gone. Completely. You remember nothing. It's like your brain turned into a whiteboard and someone wiped it clean. Now here's the funny thing. It's not because you're weak or lazy. It's not because you're not smart. It's because the brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. That's right. Your brain's default setting is to forget. The forgetting curve, your brain's natural habit. A German scientist named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered something very important a long time ago. He studied how memory works and found a scary thing. When you learn something today and don't review it, you forget almost half of it by tomorrow. And after 1 week, you forget around 80%. That means you're left with just little pieces, like puzzle parts without a picture. He drew a curve to show this and called it the forgetting curve. But wait, you can beat the curve. But don't worry. We're not stuck with this curse. In fact, we can beat this curve. We just need to train our brain the right way. Let me show you how. A leaky bucket and a clever trick. Imagine you have a bucket full of water. But the bucket has tiny holes. If you don't keep adding water, it'll all drain out. That's how memory works. When you study something once and leave it, the knowledge leaks out. But if you come back and review it, just for a few minutes, you're pouring water back in. And every time you return to it, the brain says, this again? Maybe I should keep this. Slowly, the holes get smaller. The memory becomes stronger. This is called spaced repetition. Jamal versus Aisha, the smart way to study. Let me give you an example. Let's meet two students, Jamal and Aisha. Jamal has a math test next week. He waits till the night before. He gulps down everything like a man trying to drink the whole ocean. He studies for 5 hours straight, eats instant noodles at midnight, and goes to bed with a fried brain. The next day, he remembers enough to pass. But 1 week later? Ask him anything, and he looks at you like you're speaking Chinese. Aisha, on the other hand, is smart. She studies in small chunks. She learns the topic today. Tomorrow, she takes 10 minutes to review. 3 days later, she spends another 10 minutes. Then a week later, again. Her brain starts building strong roads for that knowledge. By the time the test comes, it's easy for her. And even a month later, she still remembers. Introducing the superpower of active recall. Now let me teach you another magic tool, active recall. This is the king of memory techniques. But most students avoid it because it feels hard. Want to know the truth? The harder something feels, the better it works. Active recall means you don't just read something again and again like a zombie. No. You close the book. You ask yourself, what did I just learn? You try to explain it to yourself. You test your brain. You force it to bring the knowledge back without looking. Even better, teach it to someone else. Even better than that, teach it to a child. The driver remembers the road. You see, when you read something passively, your brain just watches. It's like sitting in a car and letting someone else drive. But when you use active recall, you grab the steering wheel. You become the driver. And guess what? The driver remembers the road much better. The superhero method, learning with style. Let me tell you a funny story. Once there was a student named Bilal who tried a new trick. Every time he learned a new concept, he would teach it to his little brother using toys and sound effects. So when he learned about electricity, he made a superhero called Volt Man, who would punch darkness in the face. His brother laughed like crazy. But the real surprise? Bilal never forgot that lesson again. Do you get the idea? When you make learning fun, weird, active, and emotional, your brain holds onto it like treasure. Mixing recall and repetition, the memory combo. Now, let's mix active recall with spaced repetition, and you'll have the strongest combo in the world. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Or biryani and raita. Here's how you do it. You learn something today. Tomorrow, you quiz yourself. You try to write what you remember. Then after 3 days, you test yourself again. Then after 7 days. Then after 14. Then after 30. Each time you do this, your brain says, wow, this again. This must be important. And the memory gets pushed deeper into long-term storage. Making it easy, your personal review system. Want to make this easy? Make a review calendar. Stick it on your wall. Or use sticky notes. Or set reminders on your phone. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. Shocking science, 3x more memory. Let me pause here and tell you something wild from research. Scientists have proven that students who use spaced repetition and active recall can remember 2 or 3 times more than others. Not 10% more. Not 20%. But up to 300% more. You don't need superpowers. You just need the right method. Talk it out, don't just read. And one more thing. Don't just review with your eyes. Use your mouth. Speak it. Say it. Teach it. The more senses you use, the deeper the memory. If you can say it, you know it. If you can teach it, you own it. The truth about time: smart study saves time. Now some students say, but it takes more time. Actually, no. It saves you time. Cramming wastes time. You study for hours, forget it, then study again, forget again. That's a cycle of misery. But spaced repetition is like planting seeds that grow into trees. You water a little, regularly, and soon you have fruit for life. Don't fight your brain, train it. So what's the lesson here? Don't fight your brain. Train your brain. Respect the way it works. Your brain forgets. That's normal. But if you use repetition, recall, and review, it will remember. Not just for the test, but for life. Your challenge: try this today. Let me end with a challenge for you. Pick one subject you're learning now. Write down what you studied today. Tomorrow, close your book and try to explain it in your own words. Then come back to it after 3 days. Then a week. Then 2 weeks. Then a month. If you do this, I promise you, something amazing will happen. You'll remember more. You'll feel confident. You'll stop fearing exams. And most importantly, you'll start enjoying the beauty of learning. Now you know the secret to killing the forgetting. You're ready to remember what you learn, forever. Module 4. Train your brain to stay focused and fight distractions. Let's begin with something real. Imagine sitting down to study, but your phone buzzes. A quick check. Then a scroll. 5 minutes later, you're watching a cat video. Sound familiar? That's the war we fight every day. The war between focus and distraction. In this module, we're going to learn how to win that war. Why focus feels so hard today. Today, we're living in the attention economy. That means companies make money by stealing your focus. Apps are designed not just to be used, but to be addictive. A study by Microsoft found that the average human attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to just 8 seconds now. That's shorter than a goldfish. But here's the truth: it's not your fault. It's your environment. The world is filled with distraction traps. But you can train your brain to take back control. Just like you can train muscles in a gym. What is focus, really? Focus means giving your full attention to one thing at a time. When you focus, your brain goes into a deep work state. That's when learning is strongest. It's like pushing a car up a hill, hard at first, but once you get momentum, you fly. Distraction breaks that momentum. Imagine restarting that car every 2 minutes. It wastes energy. In learning, it wastes understanding. The science of focus: how your brain handles tasks. Your brain has 2 major modes: the focus mode and the diffuse mode. The focus mode is when you're actively solving problems, reading, thinking deeply. The diffuse mode is more relaxed, like when you're walking or daydreaming, and your brain connects ideas in the background. Both are important. But when you're learning something new, especially something difficult, you need focus mode. Here's the trick: it takes about 25 minutes for your brain to really enter that focus state. But even a tiny distraction, one WhatsApp message, resets that clock. Story: The Monk and the Monkey Mind. There's a story from old India. A student asked his guru, "Why can't I focus?" The guru gave him a glass of water and asked him to walk through the market without spilling a drop. The student came back proud. Not a drop was spilled. "Did you notice who wore what?" the guru asked. "No," the student replied. "I was focused on the glass." That, said the guru, is the secret. You were focused because there was something at stake. That's the mindset you need. High focus comes when your purpose is clear and distractions are ignored. How to train your brain like an athlete. Focus isn't a gift. It's a skill. And skills can be trained. Let's take the example of athletes. They don't wait for motivation. They follow routines. They prepare their environment. They train their minds. You can do the same. Here's how. Remove distractions before you start. Before you sit to learn, remove all possible distractions. Turn off notifications. Put your phone in another room. Yes, another room. Use the Pomodoro technique. This is a superpower method. Work for 25 minutes. Take a 5-minute break. That's 1 Pomodoro. After 4 Pomodoros, take a longer 15 to 20-minute break. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. It respects how your brain works. Train your attention daily. Do small exercises every day. For example, try reading for 10 minutes without looking away. Then increase it slowly. Think of it as weightlifting for your mind. Evidence. Focus builds more than just memory. Studies have shown that focus improves not just memory, but also creativity and problem solving. In one research experiment, students who trained attention span daily performed 30% better on math tests than those who didn't. Another study from Stanford showed that multitasking students actually remembered less, not more. So trying to study while watching YouTube is like trying to eat while swimming. You'll either drown, or the food will go to waste. Let's talk about breaks. You might think breaks are a waste of time. But actually, they are part of focus training. When you work for 25 minutes and then rest, your brain organizes what you just learned. That's when aha moments come. So next time you take a break, don't feel guilty. Just don't spend the break on TikTok. Go for a short walk. Drink water. Stretch. Let your brain breathe. Fun example, the invisible gorilla. There's a famous experiment where people watch a video of people passing a basketball. Viewers are told to count the passes. In the middle of the video, a man in a gorilla suit walks across the screen. Almost half the viewers don't see the gorilla at all. Why? Because they're focused on counting the passes. That's called inattentional blindness. It shows how focus blocks out everything else. It's powerful, but we must learn to direct it well. Mini challenge: build a focus ritual. Here's a challenge for you. Create a short focus ritual. Choose a study time. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Remove all devices or distractions. When time's up, reward yourself. Do this every day for 1 week. You'll be amazed at the improvement. Final thoughts: you are the boss of your mind. Here's the most important thing to remember: you control your mind. Not your phone. Not your apps. Not YouTube. Your ability to focus is like a laser. With practice, it can cut through the hardest problem, the hardest book, the biggest goal. But like a laser, it needs care. It needs control. It needs practice. This module is not about becoming a robot. It's about becoming human, the kind of human who can take charge of their learning, their time, and their future. So go ahead. Take back your focus. 1 Pomodoro at a time. Module 5. Learn faster by teaching others. The secret power of explaining. Let me ask you a funny question. Have you ever tried to teach your younger brother or sister something, and realized you didn't fully understand it? You fumbled. You said, "Wait, let me think." You Googled something. You laughed at yourself. But here's the magic. By the end of teaching it, you became clearer. That's not a coincidence. That's a brain science secret. Why teaching is the fastest way to learn. You might think teaching is for experts. But research shows it's actually the path to expertise. When you explain something to someone else, even if they're imaginary, your brain rewires the knowledge in deeper ways. There's even a name for it, the Feynman technique, named after the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman. He said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." So when you try to simplify what you've learned, your brain has to search for clarity, organize information, identify the gaps. And that's when true learning happens. Story: The boy who taught his wall. Once, there was a boy named Amin. He had no siblings, no friends nearby, but he loved science. One day, he decided to start teaching his bedroom wall. He'd read a topic, close the book, and then try to explain it to the wall like a teacher. At first, he'd stop every few sentences. He forgot points. He stumbled. But every day he improved. Eventually, he didn't need the book anymore. He became so good that when he explained things in class, even the teacher listened. Today, Amin is a top tutor. And his first student was a wall. The science behind teaching to learn. When you passively read or watch, your brain only stores surface-level understanding. But when you actively explain, several powerful things happen. Retrieval practice: you're pulling knowledge from memory, which strengthens it. Connection building: your brain links ideas together in logical ways. Error correction: you realize what you don't know and go back to fix it. That's why teachers often understand the topic better than students, because they have to keep explaining it again and again. You don't need to be a real teacher. Here's the best part: you don't need a classroom. You don't need a whiteboard. You don't even need a student. You can teach your younger siblings, your mom while she's cooking, your friend while walking to the masjid, an imaginary student, or a mirror. Yes, a mirror. You become both the teacher and the student. It might feel silly at first, but it works like magic. Try this, the Feynman technique step by step. Here's how you can learn anything faster by using the Feynman technique. Step 1. Choose a concept. Let's say you just learned about gravity. Step 2. Explain it in simple words. Now pretend you're teaching it to a 10-year-old. No big words. Just simple, clear explanation. Step 3. Find the gaps. If you get stuck or confused, that means you don't fully understand it. Go back and study it again. Step 4. Simplify again. Now re-explain the concept, better, clearer, easier. That's deep learning. Research: why students who teach score higher. A study published in the journal Memory and Cognition showed something amazing. Two groups of students learned the same material. One group just studied. The other group studied with the goal of teaching it to someone else. Guess which group scored better? The teaching group. By almost 30% higher. Why? Because knowing you have to explain something changes how your brain works. It makes your brain more active, more alert, and more organized. Fun example: become a YouTuber, even if no one watches. You don't need followers. Just create a teaching video on your phone. Teach a concept you've learned. Don't worry if your grammar is weak. Don't worry if it's not perfect. You're not trying to go viral. You're trying to go deep. When you teach it, record it, and then watch yourself, you'll instantly see what's strong and what's weak in your understanding. Even a private teaching video is a goldmine for learning. Joke: the parrot who repeated everything and knew nothing. There was a parrot that could repeat full Quran surahs, math formulas, and science facts. People were amazed. But one day, a child asked the parrot, "Why does the moon change shape?" The parrot blinked and said, "Biryani." Memorizing isn't enough. Understanding is everything. And understanding grows when you teach. Mini challenge: the teach it back habit. Here's a powerful habit you can start today. After every learning session, whether it's 10 minutes or 2 hours, spend 3 minutes explaining what you learned to someone else. It could be a family member, a friend, a mirror, a voice note to yourself. This simple practice will multiply your memory and sharpen your understanding. Bonus: teaching your own language first. If you're learning something in English but it's not your strongest language, don't worry. Learn the idea in English, but explain it in your mother tongue, Malayalam, Urdu, Arabic, Hindi, or any language you're strong in. This actually builds deeper connections in the brain. Later, you can translate back to English. That way, you understand it fully in 2 languages. Final thoughts: you are now the teacher. You don't have to wait until you grow up. You don't need a degree. You don't need a stage. You can become a teacher today. Because teaching isn't about a blackboard. It's about taking a light inside your mind and passing it on. And when you do that, that light grows brighter, not just in others, but in you. So from now on, whenever you learn something, don't stop at, "I got it." Go one step further and say, "Now I'll teach it." That's when the real magic begins. Module 6. Kill the inner enemy's ego. Jealousy. Procrastination. Fear. Why these inner enemies matter. Most people think learning is only about books, memory tricks, and time management. But even with all the best tools, learners still struggle. Why? Because the real battle is not with the material. It's with the mind. You may plan everything perfectly, but if your own thoughts are standing in the way, you'll keep failing. That's what we call the inner enemies of learning. Ego, jealousy, procrastination, fear. They are invisible, but they silently hold you back. And if you don't deal with them, they will waste your time, your focus, and even your confidence. In this lesson, we will look at each one, understand how it works, and learn how to break it. Ego, the voice that says, "I already know this." Ego is dangerous. It makes you feel smart while stopping your growth. It says things like, "I don't need this," or "This is too easy for me." It hates questions. It hides confusion. And it doesn't let you admit that you're struggling. But the truth is, smart people ask more questions, not less. Einstein once said, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." Ego blocks that mindset. There's an old story. A student came to a tea master. He kept talking about what he already knew. The master started pouring tea into his cup. He kept pouring even after it was full. The student shouted, "It's overflowing." The master said, "Exactly. Your mind is like this cup. Full. If you want to learn, empty it first. If you want to grow, stay humble. Be ready to admit what you don't know." Procrastination, the master of later. We've all faced it. You plan to study at 5 o'clock. Then you check your phone. Then you get a snack. Then it's dark outside. Procrastination makes you feel safe. It gives you a fake comfort. But deep down, you feel tired, lazy, and angry at yourself. So what causes procrastination? It's not always laziness. Often it's fear. Fear of failing. Fear of being judged. Or fear of starting. How do you beat it? You trick your brain. You tell it, "I'll do it for just 2 minutes. Just open the book. Just write 1 word. Just read 1 paragraph." Most of the time, once you start, you'll keep going. That's how you win. 1 small action at a time. Your brain just needs momentum, not motivation. Jealousy, the trap of comparison. You see someone smarter, faster, more confident. You feel something inside. That's jealousy. It whispers, "Why not me?" Or, "I'll never be that good." But jealousy distracts your focus. Instead of learning, you waste time watching others. Here's the truth. Everyone struggles. Even the top student has moments of doubt. They just hide it well. So instead of being jealous, be curious. Ask, what are they doing that I can learn? Study them like a puzzle. Learn their habits. Copy their good moves. Jealousy pushes people away. Curiosity brings learning closer. Fear, the wall between you and action. Fear wears many costumes. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism. You say, I'll start when I'm fully ready. Sometimes it looks like silence. You don't ask questions because you're scared of looking dumb. Sometimes it looks like quitting early. You think, this is too hard. I'm not made for this. But fear is a liar. It grows when you stay still. It shrinks when you act. There's a story of a girl who was afraid to speak English in front of her class. Her teacher said, every mistake gets a chocolate. She spoke. She made mistakes. She laughed. She improved. 1 year later, she gave a speech in front of 300 people. Fear didn't disappear. She just stopped listening to it. That's the trick. Move forward while fear tries to shout. Keep walking. It will get quieter. How to make the mind your friend. These enemies, ego, jealousy, procrastination, and fear, they all live in your thoughts. But here's the good news. You don't have to fight them all at once. You just have to notice them. Catch them in the act. Then choose something better. When ego says, you're smart enough, say, but there's always more to know. When procrastination says, do it later, say, just 2 minutes now. When jealousy says, you'll never be like them, say, what can I learn from them? When fear says, what if you fail? Reply, what if I succeed? Your mind is not your enemy. It's your tool. But like any tool, you must learn how to use it. Final words. Win the inner battle first. Before you master memory, focus, or technique, master your mind. Because the brain is not just a library. It's a battlefield. And if you win inside, you'll win outside. Learning becomes easy when the enemies inside are silent. Module 7. Focus like a laser. The science of concentration. Let's begin with a short story. There once was a student named Hamza who had a serious enemy, his phone. Every time he sat down to study, ping, ping, the phone would attack. Messages, memes, reels, notifications, all jumping in like unwanted guests. After 10 minutes, Hamza forgot what he was even studying. Sound familiar? If yes, this module is for you. Because in the world of learning, focus is your superpower. Without it, even the best book becomes useless. With it, even an average book becomes gold. Why focus is the real secret of smart people. People often think smart students are born with special brains. But research shows something surprising. The biggest difference between top students and struggling students is not intelligence. It's attention. Imagine your brain like a flashlight. When your focus is sharp, that light goes directly onto the page, and your brain absorbs everything like a sponge. But when your focus jumps from phone to book to thought to noise, the light scatters. You're reading, but not learning. The problem: your brain wasn't built for modern distractions. Let's go back in time, thousands of years ago. Your ancestors lived in forests and deserts. Their brains were trained to notice everything: the sound of a tiger, the movement of a snake, the smell of food. Being distracted was necessary for survival. But now, in the age of smartphones, that old brain becomes a problem. Because it still wants to jump at every beep, buzz, and blinking red dot. The result? Brain fog. Constant stress. Zero focus. And the feeling that I'm studying for hours but remembering nothing. A funny truth: multitasking is a myth. Many people say, I'm multitasking. I can listen to a lecture and check Instagram at the same time. Let me break the news: you're not multitasking. You're just switching tasks quickly and poorly. Imagine this: you're writing an essay, and someone keeps tapping your shoulder every 20 seconds. Hey! Tap. Hey! Tap. Hey! You'd be exhausted, right? That's exactly what you do to your brain every time you switch apps or tabs while studying. The two modes of your brain: focus mode and diffuse mode. This is important. Your brain works in two modes. 1. Focus mode, when you're actively studying, solving problems, reading deeply. 2. Diffuse mode, when your brain is relaxed, like during a walk or shower, and ideas suddenly click. You need both. Focus mode puts in the data. Diffuse mode connects the dots. But if your focus mode is weak, your diffuse mode becomes lazy too. That's why deep focus is the starting point of real learning. Story: The girl with a timer. Sarah was a student who struggled to concentrate. Her table was full of sticky notes, pens, and snacks. But her results? Still bad. One day, her uncle gave her a simple trick. Use a timer. Just 25 minutes. No phone. Just study. Then take a 5-minute break. Sarah tried it. The first day, she only did 1 round. Next day, 2 rounds. By the end of the week, she could do 5 rounds, 2 hours of deep study without burnout. And her marks shot up like a rocket. This trick is called the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. The man who invented it used a tomato-shaped kitchen timer. Here's how it works. Set a timer for 25 minutes. This is your deep focus time. Study with full attention, no phone, no distractions. Take a 5-minute break, walk, stretch, breathe. Repeat. After 4 sessions, take a longer 15 to 30-minute break. Why does it work? Because your brain loves structure. It hates open-ended tasks like study all day. But it can handle 25 minutes. How to create your own focus zone. To become a focus master, you need to prepare your space. Clear your table. Only keep what you need. Turn off notifications, or better, keep your phone in another room. Use noise-canceling headphones or soft background music. Tell your family, for the next 25 minutes, I'm in deep focus mode. These small changes create a mental boundary. It tells your brain, now is the time to go deep. Your brain's worst enemy: open loops. Ever tried studying while thinking, I have to message that friend. I need to reply to that email. I forgot to drink water. These are called open loops, small unfinished tasks that steal attention like mosquitoes buzzing in your ear. Solution? Brain dump. Before studying, take 3 minutes. Write down everything on your mind. Tasks, worries, thoughts. Get them out of your brain and onto paper. This clears mental space so your brain can breathe and focus. Joke: the boy who studied with his phone. There was a boy named Kareem who swore his phone didn't distract him. One day, while doing math, he got a message. New reel from your crush. 2 hours later, he found himself watching goat dance videos. Math? Forgotten. Crush? Married someone else. Moral of the story: don't trust your brain with temptation nearby. Train your focus like a muscle. Focus is not a gift. It's a skill. Like building muscles in a gym. Start with 10 or 15 minutes of deep focus. Then slowly increase. Every day, stretch your ability to stay focused. And when your mind wanders, don't panic. Just bring it back, gently but firmly. Each time you pull your attention back, you're building mental strength. What about song while studying? Some people study better with soft song. Others get distracted. Test yourself. Try listening to soft song. Avoid lyrics or loud tracks. If song helps you stay calm, use it. If it pulls your attention, avoid it. Focus isn't about being strict. It's about knowing yourself. One powerful question to regain focus. Whenever you feel distracted, ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goal? This one question can reset your brain and pull you back into focus. Final advice: treat your focus like a treasure. Your focus is one of the most precious things you own. Don't give it away easily. Don't let it be stolen by every app and alert. Guard it. Train it. Value it. Because when you learn how to focus deeply, even for 30 minutes a day, you become unstoppable. You'll finish books faster, understand ideas better, and achieve more with less time. So starting today, make a promise to yourself. I will protect my focus like gold. And one day, the world will wonder, how did you learn so much so fast? And you'll smile. Because you know the secret. Module 8. Sharpen your thinking. Learn to think better, not just more. Why thinking matters more than memorizing. Imagine someone who reads hundreds of books but still makes poor decisions. That's not unusual. Because learning isn't just about storing information, it's about knowing how to think. Thinking helps you connect, question, compare, and create. In this module, we'll talk about how to sharpen your thinking so you don't just learn more, you learn better. Like sharpening your knife before cooking, sharpening your thinking makes learning easier, faster, and more enjoyable. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking means not blindly accepting everything you read, hear, or even think. It's asking, is this true? Why? What's the evidence? It's like being a detective who looks at all the clues before believing any one of them. One researcher said, critical thinking is thinking about your thinking, while you're thinking, in order to improve your thinking. The trap of passive learning. Passive learners just accept what they read or hear, like watching TV without thinking. But active learners ask questions, connect ideas, and challenge what they learn. Studies show that active learners retain up to 70% more than passive learners. So don't just take in, actively chew on the material. Train your brain like a muscle. Your brain is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it becomes. Just like lifting weights helps build physical strength, solving tough problems and asking questions builds mental strength. So ask questions like, why is this idea important? Can I explain this to a child? What's the opposite of this idea? Don't be afraid of mistakes. Many students are afraid to be wrong. But mistakes are actually a sign that your brain is growing. One study showed that when people made a mistake and then corrected it, their brain activity spiked, showing deeper learning. So instead of saying, I failed, say, I found a gap in my understanding. Use the power of analogies. Want to understand something difficult? Use an analogy. That means comparing a hard idea to something you already understand. For example, trying to memorize without understanding is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. Analogies help your brain build bridges between ideas. Teachers and top students use them all the time. Socratic method: ask and ask again. The Socratic method is all about asking deeper and deeper questions. If you learn something new, ask, why is this true? Is there an exception? How do I know this is correct? This trains your mind to not just accept but to explore, and that's the beginning of true understanding. Use thinking maps or mind maps. Mind mapping helps your brain see connections between ideas. For example, if you're learning about photosynthesis, draw a sun, arrow to a leaf, arrow to oxygen, arrow to food. It looks silly, but it works. Studies show that students who draw mind maps remember up to 30% more compared to those who write in lists. Connect old and new knowledge. Whenever you learn something new, ask, what does this remind me of? That helps your brain hook the new info to old knowledge, like adding ornaments to a Christmas tree. If you don't connect it, it just falls to the ground, forgotten. Challenge yourself with, what if? Questions. One powerful way to grow your thinking is to ask, what if? What if we had no electricity? What if humans could breathe underwater? These kinds of questions force your brain to imagine, analyze, and synthesize information. It's how inventors and innovators train their minds. Play devil's advocate. Argue against yourself. If you believe something is true, try to argue against it. For example, I believe early morning study is best. But what if studying at night works better for some people? This helps you understand both sides of an idea and makes your conclusion stronger. Learn to detect bad logic. Some people use logic to fool others or themselves. Learn to spot weak arguments like, everyone is doing it, so it must be right. It's always been done this way. These are logical fallacies, and learning to detect them makes your thinking sharp and powerful. Think in layers. Don't stop at the surface. Ask, what is the basic idea? What are the details? What is the bigger picture? Layered thinking helps you see how small ideas connect to big ideas. This is how top thinkers analyze complex problems. Take mental breaks to think clearly. Thinking takes energy. Just like your muscles need rest, your brain needs breaks. When you're stuck on a tough problem, take a walk, lie down, or listen to music. Studies show that clarity often comes after a short break. It's called the incubation effect. Example, Sherlock Holmes versus average learner. Sherlock Holmes didn't just remember facts, he connected them, questioned them, and visualized them. Be like Sherlock. Don't just learn facts. Ask why, how, and what next. That's the difference between average learners and lifelong thinkers. Conclusion: make thinking a habit. In the end, thinking isn't something you switch on during exams. It's a habit. A way of living. Just like brushing your teeth, you should sharpen your thinking every day. Remember, learning how to think is more powerful than just learning what to think. It's the secret behind every genius, innovator, and world changer. Module 9: Build learning habits, even when you're not motivated. Motivation is not always reliable. Let's be honest, we're not always in the mood to study. Some days we feel lazy, distracted, or tired. That's normal. The problem is when we wait to feel like it before we learn. If we depend only on motivation, we'll fail more often than succeed. That's why habits are more powerful than moods. A habit is something you do even when you're not in the mood. Brushing your teeth, wearing your seatbelt, these don't need motivation anymore. What if learning could become like that? This module will show you how to turn learning into a daily habit, so you succeed even on your worst days. Why small habits beat big goals. Goals sound exciting. I'll finish the whole book in 3 days. But when we don't reach the goal, we feel like failures. Habits are better. A habit is a small, repeatable action. Instead of saying, I will study 5 chapters today, say, backhand index pointing right. I will study for 10 minutes every evening after dinner. Research shows small, regular habits work better than big bursts of effort. The brain trusts patterns more than promises. Make it too easy to fail. Start so small that it feels silly to skip. Want to build a study habit? Start with, I will open my book and read just 1 paragraph. I will review 1 flashcard. Sounds too small? That's the point. Once you start, your brain often continues. But if you aim too high, you won't even begin. Small steps remove friction. And momentum makes magic. Habit loop, cue, action, reward. Every habit works in a loop. 1. Cue, a signal that tells your brain to start. Example, after brushing teeth. 2. Action, the habit you do. Example, review yesterday's notes. 3. Reward, a small treat or good feeling. Example, a piece of chocolate or a check mark. Attach your learning habit to something you already do daily. For example, after I eat lunch I will watch 1 short learning video. After prayer I will write 1 summary sentence. This makes the habit automatic. Use environment as your ally. Make your space work for your learning. Keep books where you can see them. Put your phone far away when studying. Use one chair or corner only for learning. Your environment whispers to your brain. If your bed screams, "Sleep!" and your phone screams, "Scroll!" how can learning win? Track it to keep it. Use a notebook or calendar to mark each day you studied. Even 1 minute counts. This simple act of tracking makes your brain say, "I don't want to break the chain." Seeing your own streak gives you pride. And pride keeps habits alive. Don't rely on willpower alone. Willpower is like a battery. It drains as the day goes on. That's why habits are better. Once the habit is formed, it uses less energy. Don't try to push through 3 hours of intense study from day one. Build slow. Strengthen the habit muscle first. Then grow the time later. Use if-then planning. Plan for trouble before it happens. If I feel sleepy, then I will wash my face and move to a new spot. If my friend calls me, then I will finish 1 page and call them back. This way, you don't get surprised. You already have a backup plan. Reward yourself the smart way. Rewards don't need to be expensive. Listen to your favorite song after studying. Take a fun 5-minute walk. Give yourself a point or a gold star. The brain loves rewards. Use them to make learning feel good, not like punishment. Be patient. Habits take time. Most habits take 21 to 66 days to become automatic. That's normal. Be patient. You won't feel motivated every day, but the habit will carry you. It's like planting a seed. Water it daily. Don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. Trust the process. The story of the lazy genius. There was once a student who never studied hard, but always topped the class. His friends were confused. What was his secret? Every day, he read just 1 page before sleep. Every morning, he revised just 1 paragraph while brushing his teeth. He made learning so small that it became automatic. Over a year, he read more than 10 books, without ever studying hard. He wasn't super motivated. He was super consistent. Learning habits that work. Here are a few easy learning habits to try. Review 1 idea before sleep. Teach 1 thing to someone daily. Summarize your learning in 1 sentence daily. Write down 1 thing you understood better today. Pick 1. Do it for 7 days. You'll be surprised how powerful it feels. Surround yourself with learning people. Habits are contagious. If your friends waste time, you will too. If your friends learn, you'll feel pulled to learn with them. Find study partners, join groups, or even follow learning pages online. Make your environment support your learning lifestyle. Conclusion: make learning a lifestyle. Motivation comes and goes, but habits stay. If you turn learning into a daily habit, small, easy, repeatable, you'll win even on your laziest day. Start tiny. Stay consistent. Let learning become as normal as breathing. And remember, in the long race, habits always beat heroes. Module 10. Learn by teaching, the secret shortcut to mastery. Introduction. The best way to learn is to teach. Here's a surprising truth. The people who explain things to others usually understand them best. Think about your own life. Have you ever tried teaching your younger sibling or friend something from school? Didn't it suddenly make more sense to you too? That's because teaching forces your brain to organize, simplify, and connect the information. When you teach, you don't just repeat, you process deeply. This module is all about turning yourself into a mini teacher. Not with a mic or whiteboard, but with your voice, your notebook, your thoughts. This is the shortcut smart learners use when others keep struggling. Why teaching makes you smarter. Let's imagine 2 students, Ollie and Sarah. Ollie reads a science chapter, highlights it, and closes the book. Sarah reads the same chapter but then teaches the main idea to her little brother using a water bottle and toy car. A week later, who do you think remembers more? Of course, Sarah. Because Ali's brain only stored the words. Sarah's brain built a model, connected it to real life, and used her own words. That's powerful learning. The Feynman technique. Teach like a genius. Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman was one of the smartest physicists. But he had a simple trick for learning anything deeply. Choose a concept you want to learn. Pretend to teach it to a 6-year-old using simple words. Find gaps in your explanation. Go back and study again. Simplify more. This technique makes you find what you don't understand. And that's gold. Because once you fill those gaps, the knowledge becomes yours forever. Teach in the mirror, to a pillow, or a plant. You don't need an audience. Talk to your mirror. Explain it to your pillow. Teach your plant like it's your student. Sounds silly? It works. The act of explaining forces your brain to recreate the knowledge in your own words. That's real understanding. Write to teach, notes that talk back. Instead of copying notes word for word, write like you're making a lesson for someone. Use simple language. Personal examples. Diagrams you create when you write to explain, you discover what you truly understand, and what you're just faking. Turn your notebook into a teaching guide. That way, even your future self will thank you. Teach your friends, even if they didn't ask. Form a learning circle. Teach each other something you learned that day. If your friend says, "I didn't understand this part," don't worry. That's actually a gift. When you try to explain it better, your brain rewires to understand deeper. Even one sentence a day. Hey, did you know that the brain forgets 50% in 1 hour unless we review? Boom! You just reviewed by teaching. Make a 60-second class. Here's a fun idea. Every day, record yourself for just 1 minute explaining one idea you learned. Pretend you're a teacher making a video for YouTube. You don't have to post it anywhere. Just the act of explaining it aloud trains your memory, your communication, and your confidence. You'll be shocked how clear things become after saying them aloud. Stories make your teaching stick. When you teach with stories, people remember better. So when you explain a concept, attach it to a mini story. For example, instead of, "Working memory holds 7 things," say, "Imagine your brain as a desk with only 7 spaces. When papers pile up, things fall off. That's why multitasking is dangerous." Your story becomes a hook. And once people remember your story, they remember your point. Teaching reveals your gaps, and that's good. When you can't explain something clearly, that's a sign you haven't mastered it yet. Don't panic. That's the perfect moment to go back, reread, and rebuild. Each time you teach and fix your weak points, you become 10 times stronger than before. Become a learning influencer in your family or class. Even if you're shy, try this. Teach your sibling one idea at dinner. Explain a moral lesson to your parent in 2 lines. Share a study trick with your classmate after a test. This makes you more than a learner. You become someone who spreads light. And trust me, people will start seeing you as a smart person, not because of your grades, but because of how you share. Use social media to teach, even quietly. If you're online, share what you've learned in short posts. Today I learned how the brain stores information like folders in a computer. Even 1 post a week is enough to train your brain and inspire others. Turn learning into legacy. One day, you'll forget many things you memorized. But the things you taught will live longer, because they changed someone else. That's the power of teaching. You move from being a receiver to a giver. From student to mentor. From I studied to I helped someone grow. Conclusion: make teaching part of your learning routine. From now on, don't just say, "I studied." Ask yourself, did I explain it to someone, even myself? Make it a habit. After every study session, spend 1 to 2 minutes teaching it in simple words. Because when you can teach it clearly, you truly own it. Module 11, Practice Smart, Not Just Hard, The Science of Effective Practice. Introduction. Why just repeating isn't enough. Let's begin with a simple story. Imagine two students trying to learn how to play the piano. One of them practices for 3 hours straight every day, repeating the same song over and over again without thinking much. The other practices just 1 hour but carefully chooses small sections, tries different techniques, takes short breaks, and reflects on mistakes. After a few weeks, who do you think becomes better? That's right, the second one. Why? Because practice is not just about time, it's about strategy. Deliberate practice, the secret sauce. Have you heard of the term, deliberate practice? It's not the same as regular practice. Deliberate practice means you practice with a goal, full attention, and constant correction. This is how world-class athletes, musicians, and even chess players become masters. For example, chess grandmasters don't play full games every time. They study specific positions again and again. That's deliberate practice. And the good news? You can apply the same idea to math, language, memorization, or even public speaking. Break it down, don't swallow the elephant whole. There's an old saying. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The same is true for learning. Don't try to master a huge chapter all at once. Break it into parts. Focus on one paragraph, one formula, one rule, and master it first. Small steps create big changes. It's like climbing a mountain. You don't jump to the top, you take one step after another. Feedback, your personal GPS. Have you ever used Google Maps? If you make a wrong turn, it immediately tells you to turn around. That's feedback. When you're learning, feedback shows you where you're going wrong and how to improve. Ask someone to check your writing. Record yourself speaking. Use online quizzes to test your memory. Feedback gives you clarity. Without it, you might be going in the wrong direction without even knowing it. Struggle is good, really? Yes, really. When your brain is struggling to solve something, it's growing. A student once told me, "Whenever it gets hard, I give up." But guess what? That's the very moment your brain is building new connections. It's like lifting weights. The muscle pain means growth. So when you find something hard, smile and say, "My brain is getting stronger." Varied practice. Mix it up. Let's say you're learning basketball. Do you just practice shooting from the same spot every time? That might help, but real improvement happens when you practice from different angles and positions. The same goes for studying. If you're learning vocabulary, mix old words with new ones. If you're studying math, practice different types of problems, not just one kind. This way your brain becomes flexible and adaptable. Space practice. Give it time to breathe. Cramming may help you pass a test, but it won't help you remember long term. Imagine planting a seed. Would you pour a bucket of water on it once and expect it to grow overnight? No. You water it regularly, a little every day. That's space practice. It means reviewing what you learned after 1 day, then after 3 days, then after a week. Each time you revisit, the memory becomes stronger. Use all your senses, not just your eyes. Some people learn better by seeing, others by hearing, some by doing. The best method? Use all of them. Read your notes. Say them out loud. Draw a mind map. Teach someone else. Walk around while reciting. When you involve more senses, you make the memory stronger. Think of it like tying a rope with many threads instead of just one. It's much harder to break. Mental practice. Practice without moving. Here's a surprising fact. Athletes who only imagine practicing in their minds, with full focus and clarity, improve almost as much as those who physically practice. Mental practice is powerful. If you're too tired or don't have your materials, just close your eyes and go through the steps in your head. Picture yourself solving that math problem or delivering that speech. It's like a rehearsal before the real show. Be patient. Mastery takes time. Let's end with this thought. Every expert you admire, from scientists to athletes to artists, started as a beginner. They failed. They made mistakes. But they kept practicing. And they practiced smart. As the Japanese say, fall 7 times, stand up 8. So don't chase fast results. Chase deep learning. Enjoy the journey. Laugh at your mistakes. Learn from your failures. And celebrate every little win. Conclusion: you can do it. The goal of this module is to help you understand that smart practice beats hard practice. When you practice with focus, feedback, variety, and patience, learning becomes joyful and powerful. You don't need to study all day. You just need to study the right way. So next time you sit down to learn, ask yourself, am I practicing smart? Or just repeating blindly? Module 12, Learn from Mistakes. Turn failure into fuel. Why mistakes are our best teachers. Most of us are afraid of making mistakes. We feel embarrassed, stupid, or even ashamed. But here's the truth: mistakes are not the enemy of learning, they are the engine of it. Think about how you learned to walk. Did you get up and run instantly? No. You fell. A lot. But you didn't give up, and no one punished you for falling. They clapped when you stood again. That's how learning works. We fall, we rise, and every time, we get stronger. What science says about learning from failure? Researchers at NYU and the University of California found something fascinating. If you fail a little, but not too much, your brain learns more efficiently. They call it the sweet spot of error, around 15% failure rate. That means you're learning something just hard enough to stretch you, but not so hard you break down. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably not growing. The brain loves fixing mistakes. When you make a mistake and then correct it, your brain actually rewires itself. It's called neuroplasticity. It's like putting a flag in your brain saying, "Hey, pay attention here." And guess what? The corrected memory sticks better than if you got it right the first time. A story from the real world: the inventor who failed 1,000 times. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times while inventing the light bulb. A journalist once asked him, "How did it feel to fail 1,000 times?" Edison smiled and said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." That's a powerful way to look at failure, not as a stop sign, but as a staircase. Why we fear mistakes, and how to get over it. The fear of failure often comes from school, parents, or society. We're told to get it right, not to figure it out. But in real life, figuring it out is how winners are made. If you're too scared to try, you'll never know how far you can go. So next time you make a mistake, don't hide it, hug it. It just made you smarter. The growth mindset trick. Carol Dweck, a psychologist at Stanford, discovered that people with a growth mindset believe their abilities can grow with effort. They see mistakes as a chance to improve, not proof that they're dumb. Saying, "I'm not good at this yet," is powerful. Add that "yet," and you open the door to possibility. How to actually learn from your mistakes. Here's a simple 3-step method. Notice it, don't pretend it didn't happen. Name it, what exactly went wrong? Be specific. Fix it, try a new strategy, ask for help, or review the basics. Every mistake has a lesson hiding inside. Your job? Dig it out. Make a mistake journal. One cool idea: keep a mistake journal. At the end of the week, write down 3 mistakes you made, what you learned from them, and how you'll avoid them next time. You'll be amazed how much faster you grow. Famous failures that changed the world. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. J.K. Rowling got rejected by 12 publishers. These people didn't stop. They stumbled, stood up, and soared. You can too. Humor break, the exam fail. Once a student was asked on an exam, "What is the formula for water?" He confidently wrote, HIJKLNO. The teacher asked why. The student said, "Because the formula is H2O. Funny, right? But even in that silly moment, there's a spark of thinking. Mistakes like that are chances to correct, remember, and laugh a little. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the path to it. There's a famous saying, "Success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm." That's your mission. Fail forward. Fall down. Get up. Repeat. Remember this. Every expert was once a beginner who got it wrong, again and again. So go ahead. Be bold. Make mistakes. And then make magic. Module 13. Build your learning system. Daily habits for a lifetime of learning. Why systems beat willpower. Let's be honest. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel like conquering the world. Other days you just want to conquer your pillow. That's why smart learners don't depend on willpower. They build systems, small routines that keep them moving forward, even when they feel lazy, tired, or bored. A system is like brushing your teeth. You don't wake up each morning debating whether to do it or not. You just do it. Learning should feel the same way. What's a learning system? A learning system is a set of daily habits that make learning automatic, enjoyable, and effective. It's not about forcing yourself to study. It's about designing your day so learning naturally happens, like breathing or walking. The goal is not to work harder. It's to work smarter and consistently. The power of tiny daily habits. You don't need to study for 5 hours a day to be a great learner. Just 15 to 30 minutes daily, done with focus, can change your brain. Think about it like a drop of water. One drop seems small. But over time, drops fill a bucket, and even carve through stone. That's the power of daily effort. Morning magic. Start with learning. Your brain is fresh in the morning. That's the best time to feed it something good. Even 10 minutes of revision, or a small lesson after waking up can boost your retention. Instead of grabbing your phone, grab a book. Instead of scrolling reels, scroll your notes. This tiny shift can create massive long-term results. Use triggers to build habits. Want to make a habit stick? Link it to something you already do. This is called habit stacking. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll revise one concept. After school, I'll write one line in my "What I Learned Today" notebook. These little triggers turn learning into a reflex. Make your environment your coach. Your room can either push you to learn or pull you to scroll. Put your books where you can see them. Keep a whiteboard for your goals. Use sticky notes on your mirror. Design your space so it whispers, "Let's learn," every time you walk in. Evening review, the secret sauce. Before you sleep, review what you learned that day. This locks the knowledge into your long-term memory. Just 5 minutes of recalling what you did in the morning makes your brain say, this is important." Do it before bed, and you're learning even while you dream. Literally. Make learning fun, not a chore. Watch funny explainer videos. Listen to podcasts. Turn definitions into raps. Use funny mnemonics. Example? Want to remember the planets? Try. "My very educated mother just served us noodles." It stands for Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Fun equals sticky. Boring equals slippery. Track your progress. What gets measured gets improved. Keep a small learning tracker. Write what you learned today. What was hard? What you want to explore more. Looking back after a month, you'll see how far you've come. That builds confidence. Build a learning circle. Surround yourself with learners. Form a tiny group, even 2 people. Share what you're learning. Teach each other. Challenge each other. Learning is faster and more fun when you don't do it alone. Fail-proof system example. Here's a sample system you can copy or adapt. 7 a.m., 10-minute revision. 1 p.m., learn one new concept after lunch. 5:30 p.m., watch one short educational video. 9 p.m., review your notes from the day. Weekend, teach someone else what you learned. Repeat this for 30 days. It will feel as normal as eating or brushing your teeth. Story: The Bamboo Tree Lesson. In China, a farmer plants a bamboo seed. For 5 years, yes, 5, it doesn't grow an inch above ground. But underground, it's building roots. Then suddenly, in the 6th year, it grows 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Learning is like that. The first few weeks, you may not see results. But keep showing up. Your roots are growing. Your breakout will come. Make it yours. Make it daily. Make it last. This is the final truth. Learning doesn't happen in big bursts. It happens in small daily choices. Don't wait for motivation. Create systems. Don't chase speed. Chase consistency. Your brain is ready. Just show up. Module 14. Teach to remember. The ultimate mastery hack. Why teaching is the shortcut to mastery. Most people think you first learn something, then maybe teach it later. But here's the truth. If you want to remember what you learn forever, teach it as soon as possible. Teaching forces your brain to organize the idea, simplify it, and find words for it. That's deep learning. If you can teach it, you truly know it. If you can't explain it simply, you probably don't understand it deeply. That's not an insult. It's a secret door to growth. The explain to a 5-year-old trick. Imagine you had to teach gravity to a 5-year-old. You can't say, "It's the force that pulls objects toward the center of the earth." They'll stare at you like you just landed from Mars. But if you say, "Gravity is what makes your ball fall down instead of floating in the sky," they get it. This trick is powerful. Try to explain big ideas in simple, everyday words. If you can do that, it means you own the idea. If you can't, go back, learn it better, and try again. This is called the Feynman technique, named after a genius physicist who used it to learn everything. Teach before you feel ready. Most people wait until they're experts before teaching. Big mistake. You don't need to be a master to explain a topic. You just need to be one step ahead. That's it. A 10th grader can teach a 9th grader. A beginner in Arabic grammar can help someone who doesn't know where to start. In fact, teaching while you're still learning makes your brain work harder, and that means it learns faster. Why your brain loves repetition with purpose. When you teach, you repeat, but it's not boring repetition. It's repetition with a mission. You're not just reviewing. You're rephrasing, connecting, and explaining. This kind of repetition is like doing push-ups for your brain. It builds learning muscles. And the more you do it, the clearer and more powerful your ideas become. Story: The Forgetful Tutor. There was a boy named Sammy. He wasn't the top student. He barely passed his science exams. One day, his teacher paired him with a classmate who was struggling. Sammy panicked. "I'm bad at this. How can I teach anyone?" But the teacher said, "Just try." So Sammy began teaching the other boy what little he remembered. And something magical happened. While explaining, he understood better himself. He started asking questions. He found gaps. He searched for better words. Guess what? By the end of the month, Sammy was topping the class. Not because he studied more, but because he taught more. Where and how can you teach? You don't need a classroom or a microphone. Here are a few simple ways to start. Explain to your little brother or sister. Record a short video for your friends. Start a WhatsApp group and teach one idea a day. Teaching is not about fame. It's about clarity. It's about confidence. It's about turning your brain from a storage room into a power station. Teaching turns passive learning into active power. Passive learning is when you listen, watch, or read. Active learning is when you do something with that knowledge, solve, speak, write, or teach. When you teach, your brain can't be lazy. It becomes alert. It asks questions. It fills in gaps. It turns on the spotlight and says, "Let's make this stick." You go from being a consumer of information to a creator of understanding. Teaching builds your identity. There's a deeper secret here. When you teach something, you don't just memorize facts. You begin to see yourself differently. You say, "I'm someone who knows this. I'm someone who can help others." That's a powerful shift. Identity fuels consistency. If you believe you're a learner and a teacher, you'll start showing up differently, more focused, more curious, more responsible. Turn every lesson into a gift. Each time you learn something new, imagine it as a gift. But it only becomes powerful when you pass it on. You learn better. They benefit. The gift multiplies. That's why the Prophet Muhammad said, "The best of you are those who learn and teach." It's not about being perfect. It's about being useful. And it's about making knowledge alive. Your challenge: teach one thing daily. Make a simple goal. Every day, teach one thing you learned. Doesn't matter how small. Teach it in a voice note, a doodle, a tweet, a short message, a 2-minute video. At first, it feels small. But after 30 days, you'll have a treasure chest of understanding and the confidence of someone who truly owns their learning. Teach to learn. Teach to grow. Teach to shine. Don't just learn to pass exams. Don't just learn to impress others. Learn so you can teach. Because teaching is not the final step in learning. It's the shortcut to mastery. If you want to light up your brain, light up someone else's understanding. Module 15. Become a lifelong learner. Never stop growing. Why should learning ever end? Let's start with a simple question. Why should learning ever stop? Just because you finished school or got a job, does your brain retire? Imagine if your muscles said, "I lifted weights for 10 years, I'm done now." They'd shrink, right? That's exactly what happens to your brain when you stop feeding it new challenges. Learning is not just something you do for grades, degrees, or certificates. Learning is like eating, sleeping, and brushing your teeth. You do it to stay alive, stay fresh, and stay strong. The myth of "I know enough." Many people believe they've learned enough. But what does enough mean in a world where new things are invented every day? Every 2 days, the world creates as much information as was created from the beginning of time to the year 2003. That's how fast knowledge is growing. So saying, "I know enough," is like saying, "I've had enough air today, I'll stop breathing now." Not smart, right? You're either growing or shrinking. There's no such thing as standing still. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. The world is moving forward. Technology is evolving. Ideas are changing. Industries are shifting. Your mind is either growing or shrinking. No one stays the same. Learning is what keeps you sharp, active, and ahead. Examples of lifelong learners. Let's look at some real-life examples. Leonardo da Vinci was still exploring new inventions in his 60s. Benjamin Franklin was learning new languages in his 70s. Grandma Moses started painting seriously in her 70s and became world famous. Even Elon Musk, he reads 2 books a day. Bill Gates takes reading vacations. These people never stopped learning. And that's exactly why they stayed ahead of the world. Learning is your superpower. If you learn how to learn, and keep learning, you become unstoppable. You can change careers. You can adapt to new tools. You can solve new problems. Think of it like upgrading your brain software constantly. Everyone else is using version 1.0, while you're on version 50.1. The 1% rule, just a little each day. Here's a cool trick. Learn just 1% more every day. Read a little. Watch a useful video. Practice a new word. Reflect on what you've learned. That's it. In 1 year, that 1% adds up to 37 times improvement. It's like compound interest for your brain. No magic. Just tiny steps daily. Make learning a lifestyle, not a phase. Don't make learning a project you do once a year. Make it part of your daily routine. Learn while commuting. Learn while walking. Use flashcards. Listen to podcasts. Talk to smart people. Ask questions. Google things you don't know. Keep a journal of what you've learned. When learning becomes a habit, it becomes effortless. The real world rewards learners. Companies today don't hire based only on degrees. They want people who can adapt, solve problems, and learn fast. In fact, 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't been invented yet. So how will you prepare for a future you can't predict? By becoming a lifelong learner. That's the only way to future-proof your mind. You don't need a school to learn. The good news? You don't need a classroom. You don't need a uniform. You don't even need a teacher. The internet is your university. YouTube, Coursera, podcasts, free articles, everything is available. But you need curiosity, focus, and the will to keep going. That's the real tuition fee, your hunger to grow. Learning can be fun, even funny. Learning doesn't have to be boring. In fact, if it's boring, you're doing it wrong. Try teaching others what you've learned, that makes it fun. Or make silly rhymes to remember facts. Watch cartoons that explain science. Challenge your friends with memory games. Learning is not punishment. It's play for the brain. Stay humble, stay curious. The biggest enemy of lifelong learning is ego. The moment you say, I already know this, your brain stops working. But when you say, I wonder why, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. Curiosity is your brain's fuel. The more you ask, the more you grow. Closing story, the bamboo tree. Let me end with a story. The Chinese bamboo tree is planted and watered for 5 years. And nothing happens. No growth. No sprout. No leaves. But in the 5th year, it grows 90 feet in just 6 weeks. What happened? During those 5 years, it was building roots deep underground. You didn't see the growth, but it was happening. That's what lifelong learning is like. Sometimes it feels slow. Sometimes invisible. But you are building roots, deep, strong roots. And one day, when the world changes suddenly, you'll be ready to shoot up 90 feet in 6 weeks. Everyone else will panic, but you'll be prepared. That's the power of learning how to learn, and never stopping. Congratulations! With this final module, you've not just completed a course, you've started a journey. A journey that lasts a lifetime. You now know how to learn anything, master anything, adapt to anything, and grow into anyone you dream of becoming. This is not the end. This is the beginning of everything. Let's keep learning. Forever.